Technology is just a tool. That's a quotation from Bill Gates. And that relates very much to my speech because we're now living in this technological age where your phone, your computer, iPads, they're taking over all over the place. And everybody's becoming so dependent on, these different types of communication, different types of technology. And not everybody needs to be. There doesn't need to be this huge takeover of just focus on technology and not having anything else in there. At KHS, which is Kenmore High School, where I go, I've seen over the years that I've been here how much technology has become more and more involved in our school and in the classroom. But there's a problem with that. There is a problem of going paperless at our school, and just all schools in general, I believe. So today I'm going to tell you why going paperless is such a problem, and why paper should be still kept around and used in school, but also kind of the solution to kind of use both technology and paper together. So it's important to realize that all schools, not just our own, needs like books and paper still in our learning experience. So today I'm going to talk about the big problem of technology and why it's not the best idea to go paperless. So at KHS, we are becoming more technologically dependent so I can see how we are using computers and our iPads and our Chromebooks all the time now for just little menial tasks and stuff like that. And a problem with that is, what happens if you're a student here and you have to do something that's on an iPad or a Chromebook or something and you don't have one at home? You're going to kind of be in trouble and you might not finish your work because your teachers aren't going to stay late here after school just because you can get your work done. There's a study at Emerald Union School where parents said that they are less okay with the iPad as an essential tool for their children's education. They were saying this mainly because they don't want their children to be so technologically dependent. They don't want them to be stuck to the iPad all the time. And if we're teaching that in our schools, how is that going to reflect on students in the rest of their lives? They're going to be on their iPads or on their phones constantly all the time, and they're not going to kind of realize what's going on around them or a different way to live without technology. And so here I have our iPad. We have tons of these at our school. I remember when I was a 5th grader, they were introduced here at our school, and we used them pretty much the entire 5th grade year when we got them. And it's supposed to be for educational purposes, but we all just played games on there. And so that's definitely a problem, because if you have students that are supposed to be doing work and stuff, they might be distracted by other things that are on there. And so, another thing with going fully just technology dependent is that technology is harder to run sometimes. Special programs or special applications that are on the iPads or the computers or whatever might not be easier to run for all the students. So if they don't understand, and if they do have this certain technology at home, they might forget how to run it, or they might not be able to, and they might mess something up. And there's also another thing, there's plenty of paper at home. You're always going to have, I think, pretty much enough paper so you can always work on that. But sometimes there's not enough technology. Like sometimes not everybody has 5 iPads if you have a certain amount of kids, or enough computers, or whatever. And another big thing is that kids will become more technologically dependent on this stuff. But also, kids like to not take care of certain things when they're not their own. For example, at our school, we used to have these things called, these little netbooks as they were called. This is a pretty one. This is one in pretty decent shape, but as you can see, there's a little piece missing here. There are the softener things or whatever they're called, they're missing. And also, there would usually be a lot more keys missing, but I grabbed the better one. And there's a whole pile of them down there because they're all broken and they never worked and they were not very useful. So now that we know kind of what the problem is, we should kind of know the solution, right? So kind of what I thought was the best solution was that schools should still use paper, but also integrate technology, but in as little as much as possible, I guess, for the best overall learning experience. Tech can be powerful, but sometimes kids don't learn from it from the best. Also, if it can be done on paper, why not do it on paper? You don't have to do it on technology. I know I was listening to my math teacher the other day talk to me about how everything is becoming more technologically dependent, and someday we'll be doing our math homework on iPads and stuff. And she doesn't like that because sometimes she just likes writing down on a piece of paper, and it's easier that way for her. And some people learn more that way. And there was this person, Professor Jeffrey Ward, said in an article, there are times when technology isn't worth instructional time it takes to accomplish the same task that could be achieved in another way, like paper. And also, teachers who have to teach this stuff, they might not know how to run it themselves, so they might be at a disadvantage from the kids, and that could cause problems as well. MD Richard DaCosta, I believe, said in a persistent paper, Why Keep It Around? He said, reading habits are something that you hear quite a bit, and of debate about. Some people prefer paper and a hard copy. I prefer paper and a hard copy of anything, because it's just cool to have around, and then you always have it with you. Also, Dr. Pam Mueller said, if you need to remember and process, brain research indicates that taking notes on paper is more effective. But when typing, students can easily gather the info. So as you can see, there are benefits to both the technology and the still using paper. And so why I think the balance between the two is the best, because yes, technology, we're living in this new technological age where we can't really go without having it around. So I feel like we should still have it in our schools, but a little bit less, and that our students should take care of it a little bit more. And especially if they don't use it as much, maybe then they won't get damaged as much as well. And also, if the students just damage it, then that will also affect more than just themselves. If you have a book, you can write in it or whatever, and you can still pass that on, even though it's still not okay for vandalizing books. But if you break an iPad or break a computer, then you're affecting more than just yourself. You're affecting a whole bunch of people around you that have to use the same one. In our high school, we use this thing called TCI, which is for history. And this is a program which is on the computer, all on the computer, but you are still writing stuff down on the paper. And that's very good because it is a very good mix between the two, I think. ITV classes are also the same way, I feel, because you're taking online classes. Sometimes they're on the computer, but sometimes you're also taking tests on paper and stuff like that. So now let's go over kind of what we learned here today. So in this technological age, it's still important to know that we should keep books around and paper in our school, as well as introducing technology into it, but a little bit less. So we figured out why going paperless is a problem and why it's important to keep paper around, and that there is a perfect balance between the two. So even though we live in a technological age, it's okay to sometimes just take a step back, turn off the phone, computer, or the iPad, and just make a little doodle on a piece of paper.